Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and thinkers, today we are gathered here to talk about something that on the surface may sound simple, but trust me when I say, if you understand the depth of this truth, it can transform your life. The subject of today's talk is this: let them miss you and watch everything change. Now, I want you to stop and think for a moment. How many of us in our relationships, whether personal or professional, have ever felt the need to constantly be available? How many of us have felt that we must be present at every moment to ensure that we are valued, that we matter? It's human nature, isn't it? We all want to feel needed, appreciated, and loved. But here's the kicker: we don't always need to be at the center of it all for those things to happen. Sometimes absence makes the heart grow fonder. And more than that, absence creates respect, builds value, and lays the foundation for real change. The value of absence. Why you should let them miss you now. I want you to think of the last time you pulled back from a situation or relationship. Maybe you walked away from a toxic environment. Maybe you gave someone space. Maybe you simply didn't reply to a message or a call immediately. What happened next? Did the world collapse? Did people forget about you? Or did they begin to appreciate you more than ever before? If you're honest, the answer is likely the latter. Absence creates space for reflection. When we remove ourselves, we give others the chance to truly miss us. It's in that moment of missing us that they begin to reflect on what they... You see, we live in a world where everything is fast-paced. People are constantly on the go, and relationships, interactions, and even respect are often taken for granted. When you're always around, always available, always giving, people begin to expect it. They don't value you the way they should, and you become just another fixture in their life. You're part of the background, the wallpaper. You blend in, but when you step away, when you stop showing up in the same way, that's when the shift happens. That's when they begin to notice the gap you left. And I want to be clear about something. I'm not talking about playing games or manipulating people. This isn't about being cold or distant just for the sake of it. No, it's about understanding your worth and recognizing that you don't have to chase people or circumstances to prove your value. When you show up, be all in, and then when the time is right, step away. The absence you create can lead to a new level of respect, admiration, and value from others. Think about the greatest people in history, the legends, the ones who left an indelible mark on the world. They didn't chase after every opportunity. They didn't always remain in the public eye. No, they knew when to step back. They knew when to let others come to them. It's in that space of absence that their true value began to shine. The power of mystery. Think about it. Have you ever been intrigued by someone who is difficult to pin down? Someone who doesn't always respond right away? Someone who doesn't show up at every event or gathering? That person holds a certain mystery, doesn't he or she? There's something compelling about them. Something that makes you want to know more. Now, I'm not talking about being elusive for the sake of being mysterious, but rather about creating a sense of depth in who you are. When you make yourself available all the time, when you share everything about yourself, there's nothing left for someone to discover. You become predictable. But when you step away, when you take time for yourself, people begin to wonder. They start to miss your energy, your presence. They begin to realize that you're not someone who can be easily had or taken for granted. I'm going to be honest with you here. Sometimes you have to let people feel the weight of your absence. Not because you want to hurt them, not because you're holding a grudge, but because that space is where growth happens. It's where reflection happens. It's where the opportunity for a relationship to evolve into something deeper and more meaningful exists. People don't value what's always in front of them, but they'll value what's scarce. Building self-respect and independence. You may be thinking, but I don't want to appear distant. I don't want people to think I don't care. Let me tell you something. If you are constantly giving, constantly bending to the will of others, constantly putting your energy into things that don't serve you, you are selling yourself short. People will respect you more when they see that you value your own time, your own space, and your own life. There's something incredibly powerful about self-respect. And I'm not just talking about outward actions, but about the internal understanding that you are worthy of space, worthy of time, and worthy of respect. In the game of life, you have to be your own biggest fan. You have to understand that your value doesn't come from the approval or attention of others. It doesn't come from constant validation. You are enough as you are, and when you step away from situations or relationships that don't serve you, you start to reinforce your own sense of self-worth. This builds strength. This builds independence. Now, this isn't about being selfish. This isn't about cutting people off unnecessarily. But let me say it again. If you are always available, always accessible, always giving, you are telling the world that your time, your presence doesn't have value. The more you give without expectation of something in return, the more people start to take you for granted. You have to create boundaries. You have to show others that you will not tolerate being disrespected or undervalued. And sometimes the way to do that is by stepping away, by creating a gap that forces people to recognize your value. The change that follows when you start practicing this principle, let them miss you, you will notice something incredible begin to unfold. It's as if the world starts to shift in your favor. Suddenly, people are reaching out to you. Suddenly, your phone is buzzing with messages. Suddenly, you're receiving more respect, more appreciation, more love than you ever expected. Why? Because you're no longer just there. You're no longer an afterthought. I'm not talking about people who are just using you. I'm talking about genuine connections. Connections where both sides value each other, where both sides are willing to show up when it matters. When you let them miss you, when you step back and let others come to you, you give the relationship a chance to breathe, a chance to evolve. You give them the chance to. The power is yours, so let me leave you with this. If you find yourself constantly chasing after people or opportunities, if you find yourself in relationships where you are always the one giving, always the one trying to make things work, stop, step back, let them miss you. You are not a backup plan. You are not a convenience. You are a force. And when you walk away and give space, people will start to recognize that force. Your value doesn't come from how much you can give or how present you can be. It comes from the respect you command by understanding your own worth. So take a moment to reflect on your life, your relationships, your situation. Let go of the need to be everywhere, to be everything for everyone. Let them miss you and watch everything change. Thank you. As we wrap up today's conversation, I want you to remember one thing. The power of your presence is only amplified by your absence. When you understand your own value and stop chasing after people or circumstances that drain you, the world will begin to see you differently. Not because you've done something extraordinary, but because you've done something simple. You've respected yourself enough to step back and let others come to you. So don't be afraid of the space, the silence, or the distance. Let them miss you. Give yourself the gift of absence, and in return, you'll receive the respect, appreciation, and love you truly deserve. Watch how the world begins to change when you stop trying to be everything to everyone and start being everything to yourself. When they finally come back, when they reach out, when they realize the value you bring, you'll know it was worth the wait because you didn't have to chase, you didn't have to beg, and you didn't have to settle. You simply let them miss you, and everything changed. Thank you, and may you walk in your power from this day forward.